Alright, in this video what we're going to do is add another deformer to our bouncing ball just to give him a little more character. As of this moment, when we hit play, he's going to kind of come bouncing across the stage, but his bounce really only consists of a up and down stretchiness.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is add sort of a forward motion to him. He's going to lean forward and then kind of rock back a little bit right before he lands. So there's just a little more motion.
Right. It's going to give this pushing off sensation, if you will.
Sure, less like he's, kind of doing this funny bounce, and more like he's jumping forward with each bounce.
That's right.
So it should look pretty good when we're finished.
The Bend Deformer. Yeah.
That's right.
That's our ticket.
We'll be adding the Bend Deformer. Now, to get started, I want to go ahead and get the set out of our way. And just like in the last lesson, I want to adjust my range slider a little bit. As we already know, our animation begins right about frame 47, so I'll take my range slider, crank it up to frame 47 as well, and I'll just slide down my end range to somewhere around 130 something. So my range pretty much only consists of the ball bouncing. So once we have that, one thing I do need to do is go under Show and bring back Deformers. So here we are. With our ball, everything's looking pretty good. Now let's go ahead and add the Bend Deformer, because that's what's actually going to add our leaning motion into our animation.
That's right, and this is done the exact same way we added the Squash Deformer by first selecting the ball, coming down to Create Nonlinear, and then selecting Bend.
There you go.
Now, of course, the Bend Deformer, just like other deformers, are made up of multiple nodes. It does have an input node, which contains our curvature, which is probably the most important attribute when regarding the Bend Deformer. And then up above, you'll notice that we do have a transform node for the Bend Deformer as well, which is going to become very important here in just a second.
And here's why. If we take the curvature and we just test it out by leaning it a little bit, you'll notice we're actually bending from side to side.
Yeah, that's not really good for what we're looking for.
Yeah, if we want to do like kind of a sexy strut as we come out on stage. But that's not what we want. So what I'm going to do is take the bend handle and actually rotate it in the y-axis negative 90 degrees. Now, the reason I chose negative 90 as opposed to 90 is that now positive curvature will lean our ball forward and negative curvature will lean it back.
That's right. Now, same thing that we had to do with the Squash Deformer. We need to move this thing and change its high bounce, because right now the deformation is being calculated from the center of our sphere. And that's
right.
Not what we're really looking for.
So really quick, what I'm going to do is switch over to my perspective and graph, and then I'll take my upper viewport and switch it from a perspective over to an orthographic side view. And let's show the grid so we can see that ground plane nice and clearly. And if we zoom in on the ball and hit the 4 key, we'll see that we can just take this deformer and drag it down kind of close to the ground. It doesn't necessarily have to be right on top of the ground. In fact, 9 times out of 10, it's going to look a little better if it's just a hair above. So with that, let's go ahead and adjust the high boundary of our deformer, just so that when he's nice and stretched up, he's not outside the limits of the Bend Deformer.
That's right, and we also need to make sure that we parent our deformer transform node back to the ball.
That's right. We've already seen what will happen if we don't do that. So I already had the bend handle selected, so I just shift selected the ball, hit the P key, and now wherever the ball goes, the bend handle goes as well.
Perfect.
So from here, we have the very simple task of getting this handle animated. It's going to be really easy. What I'm going to do is start at frame 0. I'm going to take my curvature, right mouse, and choose key select.
And when he says frame 0, basically it's frame 47,
frame
but it's the first frame of our character sitting there.
Yeah, I do that a lot when I'm animating. It's like the beginning of my range. I always just assume it's like 1 or 0.
Yeah.
Or it's the beginning. So we'll go back here to frame 47.
To frame the beginning.
There you go. That's my new number, the beginning. So we'll go back here to the beginning of the range, and of course I've keyed my curvature at 0. I was probably just thinking key at 0. So anyways, so we'll go ahead and jump 3 frames forward. Now notice I'm using the little next frame button over here on my playback controls. So 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to lean the ball forward using the curvature attribute. So I'll just click on curvature and virtual slide forward, something kind of like so. So about 0.6 is going to look okay. As soon as I've done that, I'll hit G to place another key.
And you'll notice that our curve is starting to be constructed, if you will, down in the graph editor.
We could even just click on curvature, and then we'll just see this curve appear as we work.
That's a real good idea.
Now, what I'm going to do is drag forward on my timeline until my ball hits the ground. I'm not worried about the curvature as we move forward, but right as we hit the ground, I'm going to back up 1 frame to right before we impact. I'll select the curvature, and lean him back. Not too far. About somewhere between 0.5 to 0.6 is going to look good.
Yeah, basically the idea is he's now leaning back, coming in for a landing, and he's going to use that leaning back to throw himself forwards once he hits the ground to push off, basically. There's our jump.
That's right. Now, I'll go ahead and hit G to place this key, and we can already scrub through this. So he kind of jumps forward, leans back, and, well, we don't have anything now.
Yeah, now we need to make this happen really quick, so just a few frames past the point in which he hits the ground.
Well, we made him lean forward 3 frames after the ground last time, so we'll do the same thing here, which, in this case, is 4 frames past this current key.
That's right.
So he hits the ground, then 1, 2, 3, and now we're going to lean him forward again. About like so. Hit G. Now it's drag forward till he hits the ground. We'll back up 1 frame and lean him back, following a pattern. Hit G. 1, 2, 3, 4, so that's where he hits the ground plus 3 frames. Lean him forward again. Hit G, and you'll see our curve nicely starting to form.
Yeah, and we don't have to have the keyframes reaching the peak at the same spot and reaching the low point at the same spot. In other words, some keyframes will be higher than others, some will be lower than others. And that's fine because it makes it a little bit more organic.
Absolutely. You get a much more natural animation if you're not doing the exact same thing on every single step.
That's right.
It's something like later on, once you guys start animating characters on your own, you'll find in character walk cycles, especially for humans and whatnot, if you make your character take the exact same distance step every single time,
it's going to start looking robotic.
Yeah, and you don't want that. So don't worry about little things like that. Don't sweat the small stuff. So here we are on the ground. Again, we back up 1 frame. We lean our ball back, hit the G key, drag forward 1, 2, 3, 4 frames. In fact, let's go ahead and count them off just to make sure that everybody sees 1, 2, 3, 4. Not that I had lost them, really. And I'll lean forward again and hit G. Now we'll come over here right before, when he impacts the stool, back up 1 frame. Same story, nothing special here. We lean him back, hit G. Now when he hits the stool, do something a little bit different. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, give him about 4 or 5 frames. The exact number is really not that important. We'll set curvature back to 0 to straighten him back up, and then go ahead and key this. So there we go. If we rewind and play this back,
it's not bad.
No.
But we could definitely change the curve a little bit to make it just a bit better, to give us a little bit more of a pushing off effect.
Well, he's leaning, for a pushing off effect, he's leaning back a little quick in the air.
Yeah.
It's like while he's up in the air, he's already kind of arching back a little bit, which not quite what we're looking for. It does look kind of cool. It makes him look kind of rubbery and whatnot. But we want to imply that there's more force. Like this guy's actually putting forth some considerable effort to move forward.
Right, and it's not until he's just about to land that he's thinking about, whoa, let's come back to get ready to kick off again.
That's right. So very simple to do. What I'm going to do is select all of my topmost keyframes. I'm going to do a couple of things to them. I want to be able to adjust the tangent weight handles from the same location on everybody. Of course, whenever you need to do that, flatten your tangents out first, just so that everybody's pointed in the same direction. Then I'm going to unlock my tangent weights and break my tangent handles so that I can adjust each side of these individually. Holding the Shift key, I'm going to select all of my out tangents on the right sides of the keyframes. And then I'm going to hold the Shift key down again. Middle mouse, click and gesture out to the right and add just a little bit of weight to this curve.
Make sure you look at this curve and you understand exactly what's going on. We're at the peak, up there at the top. What's going on? Our curvature has us bent in which direction?
Forward.
That's right. So we're trying to maintain a little bit more of that forward and then have it come back a little bit quicker, as seen
That's right.
here.
He's going to hold that forward lean, and then he'll slowly start to come back, and then he's going to real quickly jerk back right before he hits the ground. To accentuate this even more, I'm going to grab all of my bottommost keys. I'll flatten those out as well. Now remember, the reason I'm flattening is so that all the tangent handles are facing the same angle, so that when I adjust, I can adjust multiple at one time. I'll also break the tangent handles. I don't necessarily need to free the weights. I won't be adding any weight. Holding the Shift key, I'm going to grab all the in tangents. Now, no Shift key, just middle mouse clicking with the Move tool active. I'll just turn all of these handles up a little bit, so that we're coming in with a sharp change of pace right here at the bottom.
Right.
Now let's go ahead and rewind and see how this plays.
A lot nicer.
Whole lot nicer.
He's holding that forward and then kind of standing up straight a whole lot more, and then starts to lean back only right as he comes in to the ground.
So what I'm going to do real quick, let's go under Panels, Perspective, open up the Perst view. Let's hit 5. I'll go ahead and hide the grid.
Go and go full screen.
Then I'll tap full screen. I said hide the grid, not hide NURBS. Whatever.
Holes.
That's all right.
Holes, yeah.
Holes, nulls, stuff. And we'll go ahead and boing, boing. So looking a whole lot more cartoony. It looks more like he's jumping now and a whole lot less like he's bouncing.
It's looking good.
So that's really all we want to do.
Let's see how it looks with our set.
Oh, that's a good idea. I'd totally forgotten about that. So full range of animation. Let's go ahead and bring the set back into play. I'll go ahead and hide deformers to clean up my view for just a second so everybody can see this nice and cleanly. Rewind and hit play. Curtains open. Door gets kicked in and boom, boom. You know, with that deformation, it really now looks like he's just ramming that door open. That's awesome.
Very good.
So with that, our ball is nicely animated, and we're ready to move on and focus on making these curtains look a little better.
Yeah.
So let's go.